If you are new to TradeLocker, have questions, or recently purchased a prop firm account that now uses TradeLocker, this is the video for you. We're going to walk through exactly what you need to know, what to be aware of, how to navigate the desktop platform so you don't have any issues placing trades, going about setting your orders, take profits, partial close, exiting positions, setting alerts, all that good stuff. So you're familiar with it and then you don't make mistakes when money is on the line. All right, so we're going to take it super slow, super chill. Right now, I am inside of a prop firm account. So we are currently using a demo account. So technically what's happening right now is I am trading with a prop firm. If I make money, it's not real, like I'm not trading with real money, but if I make money, they're going to pay me out from their pot of essentially challenges. Kind of besides the point for the sake of the video, but that's what I'm doing. We're on a demo account. You can see that it says demo up in the top left. If it's a live account, it should say live up in the top left or when you're logging in. We have positions open. I have a couple different accounts, which I'll show you some of those in a second. But the point here is to show you kind of how this looks when I have open positions, things are moving, the market's open, so it's a perfect time to walk this through. So I'll get to the good stuff at the bottom. You're probably curious about that. I'll talk about the position size, the account sizes, all that stuff. But I want to start with the left-hand side. So we're going to kind of work our way from the left side back to the top, maybe to the right side, and then to the bottom. The bottom's got a lot of really important things. So if you want to skip around into this video. I'll see if I can leave timestamps in the video description box if it's organized. I should have it organized enough to where we can put some timestamps there. So you want to jump around to different segments, that would be a good idea to do so. Okay, so first things first, there's the zoom options, which when I was first looking at this, I was kind of like, when you click on zoom out, not only, it doesn't like, this is not referring to the chart. So by zooming out, like it's zooming my layout out. So it's making everything super, super small. This is just going to frame things based off of how you want to see things. Like, so if I want huge text and I want to be able to see things super, super big, well, then I'll zoom in a bit. If I want things to be, super, super small, but I want my charts to be the center point, then I can zoom out a bit. For me, somewhere in between, happy medium, this kind of works for me. I'm chill with this. This is where I like, but it's not zooming in on the chart. When you're using your mouse, that's where you can zoom on the chart. So hovering over the chart, zooming with your mouse, or utilizing the Y and X axis and then clicking and pulling up or pulling down on that will allow you to zoom on the chart or zoom differently on the chart based off pulling the axis. It's exactly TradingView. So it's like TradingView's charts, which you can see they even integrate the charts by TradingView. If you're familiar with TradingView, it's very, very similar. It's the same thing. While we're on the topic of charts, I should also mention that we can use a percentage scale. We can use log charts, and we can also have it auto fit. So auto fit means if I unclick that, I can start to zoom in and I can kind of adjust things and whatever. And it won't automatically fit the chart to my screen. But if I was to like have this zoomed kind of weird, like see how like candlesticks are kind of like not in the middle perfectly. If I click on auto, it'll automatically adjust so that now as I zoom in and out with my mouse, it's going to automatically format the chart in a way where everything is consistent versus if I took that off and I started to zoom in, well, now based off where I'm zooming and how I'm moving my mouse and how I'm navigating the page will depend upon, or that will really determine what I'm looking at, how I view things, and it could distort the view of the candlesticks. Just something to pay attention to. Okay, so the next thing is down on the spaces section or the spaces tab, there is trade. So that's the widget or the window we're looking at right now. So if this is not already selected, select that and that will get you to a situation that looks very much like this. I haven't done a ton of customizing because it kind of works. Like what we have right here works for me. I just added a couple of things where really I just added the time frames I would like at the top, which I'll get to next. That's really all. I didn't do anything crazy. So I didn't feel like I had to customize this a ton, but you ultimately have the ability to do that. You can pull different widgets across and change the sizing of however you see things. And then you have the ability to go up into the top of your chart and to save the layout. So I called this one main. If I make any adjustments, I can click on save layout or make a copy, and then I could pull up the layouts that I want by just hitting the drop down menu and pulling up my layouts that I want to look at, depending upon if I'm looking at like a scalping layout or a day trading layout or a swing trading layout or a charting only. Or a research layout, just depending upon what your needs are. It's very much like TradingView in that regard as well. the next thing is going to be the marketplace. This is not something I want to dive too deep into because it's worth talking about, but I'm not going to go deep into this. This is a up and coming segment or sector of trading that I think is really, really cool. And TradeLocker is trying to get, involved heavily in this, where essentially you could publish and people can publish trading bots, and the stats are tied to that. And you can essentially add these bots to how you trade and utilize this in your own trading. Just be careful if you're using prop firms, you understand the rules, okay? Because sometimes they will not allow you to do this. You have to trade on your own. You'll break their rules, which then does not allow you to get payouts. Just be careful with that. But this is actually a cool feature. This is worth an entire video in and of itself, where you can create bots, publish bots, etc. So I'll leave that for a future video. Just want to make sure that, or just want to mention it so you know it's there. The next piece is the bot studio. If you scroll down under spaces, this is where it gets a lot more interesting, where you can create your own bots. You can literally use AI to write up what you want it to do, and then it'll do the coding. It'll create the Python code for you, and now you've got a bot, which is super sick. Again, very, very detailed. I mean, it's not as complicated as it probably looks, but this is worth its own video in and of itself. So stay tuned. If you want a video on that, I will certainly make one, as I have been messing or testing the waters with some of the stuff in other ways, actually, specifically recently, and I think it's really, really cool. Let's get into more of the nitty gritty about how to use this platform, the charting, and all that stuff. So the next section is going to be the panels. So you go down to where it says markets, or underneath panels, you'll have one here, and these are all, by the way, in blue. That means that they're highlighted, but as I scroll over them, they will kind of illuminate if they're on my layout. So panels, I have a markets panel, which I can get rid of by clicking it. If I can open it back up, boom, which will pull up here. Now the markets panel, I can type in a stock. So for example, I type in TJX, which is one I was looking at before, and it pulls up stocks that either fit TJX or that are similar with similar letters and whatnot. Or I can utilize this. So in the case of the prop firm that I'm using, it's essentially looking at only stocks. This account is only for stocks. So I only have a drop-down menu for stocks. Now, if you have Forex, commodities, cryptos, indices, they will have different drop-down menus up in the top right in your markets panel. And that is where you can kind of just cruise through, check things out, see what's available to trade with the platform you're using. And then decide, what you want to trade from there and select things. You can obviously use the search bar to say, hey, I want to trade gold. So I'll type in gold, and if it's there, cool, That's totally up to you, but that's how that generally works. Now, what you can also do is you can also star things. So, it's called adding to favorites. So I currently have no stocks in my favorites, but let's say that I was a frequent trader of Apple. If I type in Apple and I was to go back to, or I uncheck favorites because I don't have anything favorited, and I was to now look at Apple, if I control click or right click on Apple, I can now pull it up on my chart, which is now showing here. I can view the details of Apple, add to favorites, or check out the recent news on that instrument, in this case on Apple stock. So I'm going to add to favorites, and now it's going to have this little star here. So now when I go to my favorites tab up in the top right where that star is, it'll now have Apple there. So any frequent stocks that you or any frequent tickers or assets that you normally will trade, add to the favorites just so it's easier. But you don't have to do that. It's just kind of a feature that they have available to you. The next panel down will be the bots panel. I don't have any active bots. So as of right now, we don't have one, but that takes the place of the markets panel. I'll bring the markets panel back up so we can see that now showing on the screen. Below that, we have the order panel. So that's now this guy in the bottom right here. So if I bring this across so you guys can see this a bit better, and I hover over the orders panel on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, and now I can pull this guy up. I can hit this little up arrow to make it larger. And so now you can see this is the order panel. So if I want to market buy, very easy, market sell, pretty easy. Pending order would be a stop order. So if you are okay, I want to sell Apple. In the case of, let's say it's dropping down, if it breaks below low of day, I want to sell Apple and I want to get in, I can create a pending order with the pending function. If I want to only buy Apple if it breaks the high of the day, put the order, drag it up to the high of the day, or I can enter the price that I want to enter in at that point right here. Let's say I want to get in Apple if it breaks above 213, so 213.01. And then put it to buy, and now I can create a pending buy order if Apple breaks that price to the upside. You can also set your stop loss and take profit by selecting these. It doesn't do anything initially because I haven't placed the order yet. Again, see how it says buy stop? I haven't placed the order. But now I can drag my pending order, I can drag my take profit, I can drag my stop, and now I can visualize how much money I'm going to risk. Basically, on the P&L section right here, what percentage of my balance is that? How many ticks is that? And the exact prices. I can customize my stops and take profits in that manner, while also clicking on or adjusting the amount of lots, the amount of shares, or in this case, it's lots that we have at the bottom, which is just the size of my position. And so as I increase this, you see that my risk increases, my reward increases because I'm just trading with more size. So that's how that works. On my chart, I can easily drag and drop, which I like to do personally because I'm always looking at different targets, or I'm using the candlesticks to kind of guide where my stops and take profits are. So I will just drag my stop and take profit for the most part and just follow this line across and say, okay, I'm targeting right here. My stop is right here. Then what I will do is I will look and say, okay, how much am I risking? Okay, I'm risking 62 to make 86. Does that make sense for my system and strategy? If so, we'll then go ahead and place the trade. So that's how I go about it, but everyone has their own approach. Everyone has their own way of doing things. Just be aware of that. Now, also to mention too, the bid and the ask. Make sure you're aware of the bid-ask spread. If I was to market buy right now, I'll be getting filled at the ask. If I was to market sell right now, I'd be getting filled at the bid. So if the spreads are huge, be aware of that, understand that, and factor that in to how much you have to risk or what your entries are going to be. Because if I put a pending order and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to get filled right here. Well, wait a second. If I was to market buy right now, it's going to be a couple cent difference. In this case, only a couple cent difference between bid and ask spread. For a scalper, could make a big deal. For a swing trader, might not matter. Just something to be aware of. Okay, I'm going to click on the X and get rid of all these orders. Get rid of these lines on my chart, which, by the way, I should mention that quickly here before I dive into the trades panel. But there are all these features here on the left-hand side. This looks very much like it would on TradingView. So you have the same type of cursors. You can utilize trend lines. Look at this is just like TradingView. Rays, pitchforks, all that stuff. You can even have your Fibonacci retracements. If you scroll down, there's this one right here, long position, short position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this, I'm going to create my own little favorite tab just because I haven't done this yet. And I'm going to now add in my trend line. I'm going to add in my horizontal ray. I added my long position, my short position, and then I'll add my cross cursor just so I have that now. And then what I'll do is I'll get rid of this here. That was an accident. And I'll go up to the top right and it auto saves. But if it didn't auto save, I click on save layout. Now it's going to save this to my main layout. So now I always will have this at the top of my screen, or I can drag it around. So I have my main tools that I will normally use at my disposal within a matter of seconds. I guess I should also use the brush tool as well because I do use that quite a bit. So now I have everything that I really need. Okay, cool. That's that. Now, really quick, before I dive into the trades panel at the bottom of our screen, which I can bring up here so you can see it better, but in this case, I don't have a lot going on, so it's not like I have to bring it up that much. I should also mention that if I'm on the chart and I am using the cursor and I'm just kind of looking around, doing my thing, there's a plus. If I was to click on the plus, it'll give me the options for a couple of things. I can add an alert, a pending order, I can put a stop or a take profit. So in this case, I want to maybe set an alert. Well, I can now move my cursor to the exact price point that I want the alert to be set at, find the exact price to the cent, click on the plus, click on alert, and now I'll have an alert if Apple crosses that line, which exactly is at 222.96. And then I have the alert up on the top. This comes out to the left-hand side. I can then click on the X, which would close the alert if I would like to. And just like that, I have gotten rid of my alert. A couple other minor things I should mention. We can go full screen the chart here, which is simply made by this little full screen icon. I can screenshot. So if I want to take a screenshot and then send this to myself or put it on social media, I can do that. If I do go full screen, the order panel will pop up. I could bring this back to or I can make this smaller, and then I could drag it around to make it fit however I want, just so that you always have the option to enter orders in pretty quickly if you need to, which I think is kind of cool. You might not like that, but when I go back to the regular screen, it brings the order panel over to the right-hand side like usual. You also have the options on the bottom right to completely customize the settings of your chart. So I have, just like TradingView, right? This is going to look exactly the same. I can customize the colors of my candlesticks, all the things like the status line, the scales, and the canvas, the colors, the background, the colors of everything. So I have the full abilities to customize this just like I would on TradingView, which I'd recommend. doing so and then getting familiar with it so that you're used to it and it looks just like you would normally use. For example, if you use TradingView a lot, like I do, then just make it look the exact same, make the same colors, make everything the same so that you're used to it. There's no differences. It's like the same thing. I don't have to think or blink or think twice about anything when I get to the charts. Up along the top, we have the time frames we're looking at. So if I drop the drop-down menu right here, I can star my favorite time frames, and once I star them, they will now be automatically populating at the top. So for example, if I want to add the weekly, hit the star, now I have 5 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour, daily, and weekly, and I can quickly go back and forth between the different time frames on my charts. I can customize the candlesticks just like I can with the candlesticks on TradingView. I like to just use regular candles. Personally, that's what I like to do, but maybe you like bar charts, maybe you like line charts or hollow candles. Totally up to you. Indicators is next, so we should also mention that this is going to give you pretty much the exact same options to utilize like TradingView. I'm not a big indicator guy, to be honest with you. The only thing that I guess I could add is the visible range volume profile. So if I go right here and go VRVP, this is like the one indicator that I will use quite a bit. So if I was to go up in here, now I have it. I'm not going to bore you with customizing it because I don't like the exact settings that they use here. I can go and customize it myself by clicking into the indicator, the 3 dots, and then going to the settings tab. And then again, I can customize this how I see fit. All right, so I went ahead and customized that just to the liking that I want it. And now I can go back to a 5-minute chart here on Apple. And so we can see the volume profile loading up nicely, just like it would on TradingView. So in a nutshell, that's how that goes. I should also touch on the trading open right here. So if I was to click on this right here, it'll give me the details on the trading hours that my broker offers. So you have that option, or you have that ability to see that right there. Now, for the fun part, at the bottom of our screen, you will see the positions tab, pending orders, closed orders, etc. Let's dive into all of this stuff. What I am looking at is I am on a $10,000 account. If I was to jump to the bottom left where it has this little S, I can see all the different accounts that I have. So this one I'm using right now is around 9,900 something, but I have an account right here that's 25. I have a 200 and I have a 194. So I can toggle between all my accounts, and then inside of that, it'll pull up the positions and the details of the accounts on the bottom of my screen. So TJX, Walmart, those are my 2 positions. You can see that one of them is up 264. I just entered that one today. And the other one is up about $40 that we can see right here. So this gives me, under my positions tab, a good look as to what I'm currently in. It tells me quickly the size, the entry, where the market's currently trading, my stop loss, take profit, all that stuff. So it's super simple, super straightforward. And it tells me when I enter the orders, which is nice as well. Great. So we have that information. I should also mention, if you keep scrolling to the right-hand side, there's this action tab. Here's where it gets a bit more fun. We can go in and I can say, hey, you know what? Hey, I want to share my position. I click on the share button. And now I could quickly download this and get this little card that tells me and tells everybody, hey guys, check me out on a demo account with TradeLocker. I am up $40 on Walmart. I know. Buy my course. Buy my mentorship. It's only $5,000 a month. I'm so cool. And it shows you kind of all the details, which is pretty cool. So if you want to do this, share this, I'm not going to lie, it's a nice social feature. So they have that ability. Not only can you just download the card, you can also copy the link and have the link posted as well, which is kind of cool. Kind of an easy like plug for TradeLocker. You can change that to the ROI, the ticks, etc. Totally up to you. So that's a feature that I just realized was there, but it's pretty cool. Going further to the right, I can click on the little pencil. I can edit my position, which now will pop the position open, and it will allow me to edit the position on the right-hand side in the order panel. So I have the stop loss, take profit. I can go and change those things just by quickly clicking on the little edit position pencil icon. Kind of cool. How do you get out of this? You're like, oh man, I'm clicking around. I can't figure it out. Click the discard. Now, as long as you didn't change anything here, you're fine. Click the discard, you're good. If you change something and then click confirm, now you've locked in the change. So just make sure you're aware of that. Discard, nothing's going to happen. Whatever was the settings or whatever you had your stop and take profit set before, you're fine. It's not going to change. Okay. The next little icon is the partial close. This one is super crucial because people are like, how do you scale out? Well, all you got to do is click on the partial close, which is like the X in the middle with 4 like lines that are not connected all around the X in like a box formation. So I currently have 0.11 lots. I can now bring this down and say, hey, I want to take off, 0.02 lots at a time, which in the case of what I'm doing is like shares. So I'm going to take off 2 shares at a time. I can now, and when I click on close, it's going to sell at the market price right now. So I can go in here and slowly but surely, if my position is going in my direction, trim in this regard, which is kind of cool. Then the other feature is the X with the full box around it. That's closed position in full. So everything is going to be closed out no matter what at the market price. Boom. The other way to do that is also go up on the chart when you pulled up or clicked on, I'll go to Walmart now as an example. If I click on Walmart, it'll now give it a second to load. Now it will load my Walmart position. If I find the chart or look on the chart and I find the X or where my current order dotted line is, I could simply click on the X right here and that would also close out my position in full market order right now. So that's another way to go about that. Just thought I would mention it. Now, that's our orders there. We've got a pending tab. So if I had a pending order, like a stop order set, that's where that would show up there. I currently have none. Close positions. So now I can go back and check on what time frame. So you can see that I'm on a streak of losing. My last 3 trades, all losses on this account. Hence why it's fallen below $10,000. It is a funded $10,000 account, I will add, for maybe some credibility. Because it did take me, some time to get funded because I had to pass phase 1 and phase 2. However, the last 3 trades, boom, boom, boom. So I've lost. Now, they weren't huge, but I did lose on those trades. Now, on the bigger accounts, they were much bigger. But on the $10,000 account, they were smaller. I can go back to the last 30 days. I can go to all time. And now I can scroll through my all-time positions on this account as it's been set. And now I can see all the trades that I've had, which is pretty cool, if you ask me. Now, I think the account was actually reset. Like they gave me a new account because they had some sort of issue. So my all-time trades is only going off of this, but that's besides the point. Either way, you can do that. So you can have the ability to go through and customize the summaries of all your closed positions. I should also mention too, this on the right-hand side, if I was to go back to the main position tab, this little option right here, toggle list and card view, this little 4 square icon, allows you to look at your positions in like a different way, in like a card manner, which is kind of cool. And inside the card, it gives you the same options, the share, edit, partial close, and full close if you want to. But it's maybe a better way to visual. So you can see on this trade, I'm risking 76.67 to make 116. In this one, I'm risking 89 to make 136. It's a pretty good risk reward on that one, I think. But that's just the way I do things. So you have the option to look at things in that way or go back to a list format. Kind of cool. Balance, you can kind of see how your balance has changed over time. You can see your trades. So this is going to show you guys all the trades, orders, entries, all that great stuff that you've had over the course of time when you enter positions. Order history, which is not surprising. It's very similar, but if you have partial take profits, this and that, it will show you all the history as you change, edit your orders. Alerts, I have none, sorry. And then the trading logs, or I should say bot logs, which we have none because we haven't used a bot as of now. So back to positions. That in a nutshell is how that all works. I should also mention really quick, if you were to go to the left-hand side, there is feedback and help. So if you need to get feedback or you just ask for help, getting in touch with support, that's how you'd go about doing it. They also have guides, more links, and a Discord. And then there's a settings icon so you can change settings like one-click trading. I don't need that. I'm not a scalper, but if you are, you can enter or have trades be entered a lot faster with that. They have more settings for Bot Studio, security, data privacy, and all that stuff, the chart panel. So there's other things you can add in here. Go back to trading. If I wanted to show my trades on the chart, it'll show me up to my last 100 trades in the chart. So whenever this is so these little arrows, if I find them, here's one, it's super small. If I go to like a daily chart, you can see it better. It'll show you the trades or when I've taken trades on a specific position. It'll show you the arrow of where they got filled. Actually, let me see if I go to the 4-hour chart. Maybe you can see it better on the 4-hour chart. There's the arrow right there. Boom. So you can see the arrow right here. That's what that is. You can get rid of that if you want to, but it's an option. There's a settings option at the bottom left. So that in a nutshell, guys, is a really good overview, tutorial view of the platform. So now you have a sense of how it works. And so hopefully you're not going to make any mistakes, clicking the wrong things, clicking on partial close versus full close by accident, clicking on this X and then exiting a position that you want to stay in. Hopefully you have a sense of that stuff. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer them if I can. If not, maybe somebody else can, or we can make a video specifically on that topic if it is necessary in the future. The bots component, I think, will be a big one. And I'm very curious myself to learn more about it, and I think a lot of others will be the same. Thanks so much. I'll leave links and resources down below. I'll see you guys in the next video.